I have some wonderful guests with me. First off, I have Drew from Comics Elite. How are you today, Drew?
I'm doing all right. Share behind the scenes. I just left the Colts game, a disappointing loss. So I'm hoping this conversation about feminism will go much better than the ending of this football game I saw.
Me too. I also have just some guy with us. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. I'm still slightly recovering from doing the Gollum voice all day on Thanksgiving. So if my voice cuts out, that's why.
Oh my gosh. And then, of course, we have Trisha from Dannphan. And I am so excited I've been watching your channel for so long. I'm so glad you're here. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, and thanks for having me on.
So, I want to talk a little bit and go through how feminism affects comics, right? And there's also a lot of like Gail Simone stuff to cover and the desexualization of women in comic books or the hypersexualization of women in comics books, depend on which, you kind of fall on. But first off, I started reading Bitch Planet last night, and I don't know
I'm
if you guys
sorry.
are I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. I actually don't mind a lot of Kelly Sue DeConnick's writing, but this was
Insufferable.
that's the word. Yeah, that is the word, because I don't know what I read. Like, the subjugation of women, is that what we're going for here? Like, is that it?
Was it the because I know they've done a bunch of reprints and I think there was a follow-up series or something. So was it the very first one? Like the very first arc that you
Yes.
read? Okay. Um my understanding of it is that she was just trying to sort of have a kind of weird commentary on how women are oppressed. That was the impression I got. I didn't completely read the book. I was in the library,
Mhm.
and I think I was the second or third human who'd ever touched that book. So, and library books, they tend to be kind of dirty because they've been handled by lots of people. This thing was pristine,
Oh
and
my
it had been
gosh.
out for like 4 or 5 years. It like when I was turning the pages, they were still kind of stuck together from when they were printed, and you get that
Oh
little sort of like stickiness from it. No one had opened this book. So I kind of perused it, and there's something about a big black chick who was like the personification of all the horrible things that were happening to women, and she was just like,
yes.
and I'm like, all right, I'm done. And I just put it back on the shelf because it was too much. It was too on the nose. So I let it go.
It was like women have to obey no matter what. Like, they
Yeah.
have to obey, and even at a point to where you can if you disobey your man, like, he can just trade you in for a new one. Like, it was absolutely, that is not feminism. That is I
There
don't.
was a script that came out. I mentioned it in a different stream. I think it was on Nerdrotics, Friday Night Tights, like a while ago. Someone got a copy of the script to
Oh
the
no.
like that issue of Bitch Planet where it's about the big black woman. And I mean, if I could find it, I'll see if I can find it because it is a thing of special magnificence. It is unreal how badly written that script is. Her
Oh
inner
my
monologue
gosh.
is in the script. Like, Kelly Sue DeConnick is talking to the artist like you would, it's like, "Oh my god, we're gonna do all this crazy stuff. It's gonna be funsies." That's in the script. So
Like, did you happen to get to the end where they had like the patriarchy stuff, and then it's like, if you don't think you're oppressed, you're wrong. You are oppressed.
Oh, no, I never got that far. That was too much commitment.
It was like this woman talking about gender studies. She had studied well, at some college, and she was talking about, well, these women don't think they're oppressed, but if you've ever gotten catcalled, you're oppressed. Like, excuse me, what? That's oppression now? Like, where's the mental that's mental gymnastics, basically. I think you are okay. Here we go. All right. So, what I want to talk about, actually, specifically, I watched just some guy's video today on women in refrigerators. I was doing a little bit of research because Gail Simone has her own list, right? And basically everything. And there was a lot in your video specifically that kind of went through and debunked a lot of the women in refrigerators trope. Do you still, like, it was 3 years old, but do you still stand by that?
Yes, I do. I absolutely think that Gail Simone was just playing it up, and there's a disconnect between what is done for storytelling reasons and what is done because someone just has a bias. And the reality is, more often than not, the significant female character in a story is the main character's love interest. And
Right.
in order to get people to care, you have to have stakes. Everyone else is kind of expendable except for the main character's love interest, usually. So if you put her in danger, it gets people to care because they want to see that relationship. It's not necessarily being done because they want to oppress women. It's just a storytelling trope. You find this in the Iliad, not the Iliad. Is it the Iliad or the Odyssey? It's the Iliad, where Heracles and Aeolus are working together to sort of redeem Heracles, and then Aeolus has bad things happen to him because he's Heracles' partner in both meanings. That's the point. That's why it's being done. It's not being done to go, oh, we just want to hurt little boys. No, it's a storytelling technique. And it just seems to have gone over Gail Simone's head while she's ignoring the same thing has happened to male characters. So
Right.
it's like, what are you doing? Why are you ignoring that this happens to all these other people just so you can fit this one little narrative? And of course, that got her foot in the door. And then everybody just bowed down to that and wouldn't question. And she just ran for it for the last 20, 30 years.
Not only women, but if you take a look at John Wick, it happened to a dog too. We have a dog in a refrigerator. Like, there's a lot of issues of this when it comes to it. But Drew, when it comes to characters like Barbara Gordon, Stephanie Brown, would you consider that a woman in refrigerator trope?
With what happened to Barbara?
With
I guess
Joker.
considering that trope, what happened to her. I mean, it's a story. It's a plot motivation to get Batman moving. Yeah, I would say
Right.
that was done in that vein. Yeah, I mean, it's the shock factor itself. You know, you're going to get people talking about what happened to it. You know, you can't just be. If you want to get people talking about, get creative with it. Yeah, you're going to put someone in a refrigerator. You're going to shoot them and allude to maybe being like raped. Maybe, I don't know if that was.
Yeah.
But,
I definitely think it was alluded to.
Yeah, you're going to have that shock factor in there. So yeah, it is a more or less a quote unquote, refrigerator moment, I would say.
Let me get the super chat. Robert, thank you so much. At least Gail was smart enough to call out those who went too far with women in refrigerators, but they complain anytime women got hurt in general. And I think that's an issue with women. The whole trope of women in refrigerators is basically you can't call it every single time. The only time I actually see it, which is very rare, is if a character is completely underdeveloped. If we have a character like Stephanie Brown, spoiler, who's been developed, and then gets that situation thrown upon her, that doesn't mean that character was meaningless and a plot device. It means she had character development for years. Look at stuff with like Chuck Dixon. She's not a woman in a refrigerator. She's a tragic character at that point. What do you think, Dannphan? You're being quiet.
Oh yeah, I'm always quiet when it comes to like group streams. I like to listen. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to have any criticism that you think is I don't know, a downfall, but to just paint a broad stroke like no one can do this type of story well is kind of bad. I mean, it's all about the execution, right? It's all about how you write it.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, had you guys ever watched Supernatural?
Yeah.
I haven't.
In the first episode, they kill like both of the main men. I haven't
Main
seen
characters
much, but
die all the time.
yeah, and they kill them immediately. That I would say would be the woman in refrigerators trope, because they kill both of the wives because this big bad guy wants to get to them, right? There's no character development. They're used as a plot device, but that is one instance. You can't call out every single instance. Like, what about Gwen Stacy? What do you guys think about that issue with her dying in Superman or Superman? Spider-Man. Is that an instance of something similar to women in refrigerators? Is that an instance of, tragic
I don't
story?
even know if it had been done at that point.
Right.
And you really want to ask Englentine about it, or Breen, because they have a much greater knowledge about it because they were around when it happened. I know they're old, but just have to do it. I don't
They're
know that,
smart.
but I don't know that was a thing that was happening that was very common at that time. And if I remember correct, they the way that was written, they go through the entire issue, and then at the end of the issue, when Gwen Stacy has died, that's when they tell you the title of the story, the night Gwen Stacy died, right?
Right.
So it's meant to be shocking because it doesn't happen. You don't kill the female lead. You just don't do it. So, that was the opposite of that. That was pulling on people's emotions to get them invested. Like, you would kill Gwen Stacy? Oh my God, how dare you? It just wasn't done. So I don't know if that would be a good example of that. It's actually a really powerful moment, and it affects Peter for the rest of his career. And that's a very powerful thing to do, to have his entire worldview of how he sees himself as a hero affected by this one action. And the only time they really came close to doing that again was with the death of Jason Todd, where it affected how Batman reacted to having anyone team up with him, especially if they were, if they were going to be Robin. He just didn't want anyone around him anymore. That is a very powerful storytelling tool, and to get rid of it because it offends someone is just kind of silly.
Well, yeah, and that actually brings up another really good point because you brought up Jason Todd. She went on when everybody kind of responded to this, right? This was what, 1999 or 2000 years ago. And she said, this whole trope of dead man defrosting. Characters like Jason Todd, when they come back, they're more powerful. When they die, they have more heroic deaths. Such as like Tony Stark in Endgame, or the Snyder Cut having somebody like Clark Kent. They come back more powerful, but women just die. They don't come back, or they end up like Oracle.
Elektra,
Well,
she's been back multiple times.
and
What's that?
she was always badass when she came back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. I forgot about. And then wasn't there another girl? What is her name? Karen Page. Wasn't she one with Daredevil also?
She's still dead. I think she
Is
never
she?
came back.
I wondered about that. I got a super chat here. Let me get to it. Robert went to my computer.
Phoenix. That's another one. Yeah.
It says, to be honest, Gwen was killed in part because Jerry Conway wanted to make way for Mary Jane. Jason was voted on. Elektra, her creator, killed her off. Right, and I think a lot of this, and it is a trope that is used. Not very often, but it is a trope that is used. But it's
But just a loved one dying to motivate the hero. That's a trope that's a very common trope. I mean, Peter Parker, Bruce Wayne. That those are those tropes that push them forward. The love of a lost one. It's been going on now for almost 100 years.
Right. It's been literally around since the inception of storytelling. Mm-hmm. So how can we now look at it and go, well, this is bad because women? Like, what's the reasoning?
The reasoning is that it shouldn't be done to the female characters. That seems to be the reasoning. It doesn't seem to be anything else to it. No, well, it's not about equality. It's about Gail Simone trying to get a job. That was what that was. She wanted a job, and she found a way to get a job. That was all that was. And she used this thing, and then it went out of control. And when she tried to sort of walk it back a little bit, it's too late. And she created a little industry there of people being able to say, hey, every time a female character gets killed, it's because they're trying to fridge women. No, it's a storytelling technique. And the other thing that I think no one's talking about is there is a reality that you can do things to male characters that you cannot do to female characters. You can do things to men and boys that you cannot do to women and girls. They will not spawn the same outrage. We've all seen this where some little girl gets kidnapped, people lose their minds. Some little boy gets kidnapped, not the same amount of outrage. That's just how people are. We have a social and probably biological impulse to care more about women in danger, particularly men care more about women in danger than men or boys in danger. So if you really want to get a man to be protective, put the woman he loves in danger, and then they're going to be right on it.
Oh yeah,
It's just another
absolutely.
storytelling thing. It's just a thing to play on the way that people respond to trauma. This is why all your like your procedural shows, all the victims in the shows tend to be women. Every
Yeah.
crime is not committed against women. Most crimes, the victims are male. But if you watch Law and Order, almost all the victims are women.
Oh, Law and
So
Order. That
because
sounds
you're more
terrible.
likely going to care about them than you would the male victim. That's it.
I got a comment here from Comics and Finance. He said Gilgamesh and Ndeku was the first case of a close character to a male hero, motivating a deep change to the character's arc.
Yeah, I still haven't had a chance to get my hands on a copy of that. Nobody seems to have it physically in stock, and I want to flip through it to read it before I can get it. But that's the Epic of Gilgamesh is definitely an example of that. And you see it all the time in all sorts of mythology where you have a male character, his best friend is killed. Sometimes the best friend is friends with benefits, but someone close to him dies, and then he is motivated to act. This happens all the time. It's just that wasn't what Gail Simone wanted to talk about because she knew the angle she could play to get in that field, and it worked.
Well, I think to be fair, when she did get her hands on like Batgirl's or Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, and Birds of Prey, she did a really good job with them. Her writing was good. It's just the way Gail Simone was the inception of using social media to get what you wanted. She did the same thing when she got fired for Batgirl, if you guys remember that. She weaponized her Twitter.
Yeah, that was impressive. I actually have to give her credit for that one because you get fired from your job and I'm going to tell my people online what you did to me, and then you get your job back. I have to tip my hat to that.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing. She really does. And at this point, she's kind of become, I don't know. I think I don't even know what she's writing right now. Like I know there was a
Red
good
Sonja
10
stuff.
years.
That's about it.
Is she still on Red Sonja or is that Palmiotti?
No, she's doing. There's like 3 or 4 Red Sonja titles at Dynamite right now. She's doing a story here and there. I think she's doing a Kickstarter story for Red Sonja.
Oh, she might be. I know Bueller's doing a Kickstarter for Red Sonja, and then yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard much from her besides Red Sonja. Like there's not a whole lot. And it's not that I think she's a bad writer, because I don't. I actually think she's a good writer and understands the characters. It's the fact that she is able to weaponize her people. And oh yeah, that's what she's doing. Isn't she a Lion Forge?
She was. I don't know if Lion Forge is still around anymore. They were on the getting ready to collapse. Last I checked.
I think they are, but I don't know what they're putting out.
Yeah, they haven't put out a title in at least a calendar year. They haven't put out anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. So another thing that was brought up when I was looking up this is the idea that, I talked about defrosting men or whatever she called it. So she also talked about like Babs' injury, right? She was shot, she became paralyzed. But Batman, when he broke his back, was actually, able to go through recovery time and then come back even stronger, or at least as strong. The only thing, I have a huge issue with that, because shooting a vertebrae is completely different than breaking one and being able to, depending on, where it was at, you're able to heal in that sort of situation. And I think she's giving a lot of false equivalencies in that situation.
Well, okay, real quick. If you read deep into Nightfall, I've read everything in Nightfall. They had Chandra Kingsolving had to use her magic power to heal Bruce at certain points. That's how he was able to heal so fast.
You're right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, so I'm fairly certain without her there, her being a plot device to get him back into the game, he would still be paralyzed. He wouldn't be Batman still.
Well,
Yeah,
but there's a valid
right.
point to be made there that, well, why couldn't they do that for Babs? Like,
Well, they eventually
we'll
did.
heal Bruce, but we won't heal. But they left her like that for a while. Imagine that she's sitting there with Dr. Fate and Zatanna, and they're like, we'll wait a couple years.
You can get
just stay in the
later
wheelchair
on
for a
down
little
the
bit.
road.
I mean, they heal people all the time.
Yeah.
You can heal her. So I'll give her that one. That one's fair.
Well, but honestly, like, I love her as Oracle. I think she's a
Yeah.
better character as Oracle.
Yeah, I agree. And like it was great in the early 2000s when they brought in the calculator as like the opposite of her when those two were going up against one another in some of the titles. I thought that was great too.
Yeah, and when it comes to like now, she's got that implant, but she's still kind of taking it easy but actually doing the work. And I think she's better as that narrative. And you remember in No Man's Land where she was kind of the narrative of that story? You had a lot of her journal and stuff. Like, that's the Barbara Gordon I absolutely love. That's the version I want to see of her. Not the one, that Cecil Castellucci made a mockery of.
Yeah, I remember that issue. Yeah.
What was
Not
it?
bad.
Batgirl 50, where they made her this Antifa activist that yelled at Bruce,
And her
for
dad and every male pretty much in that comic.
like, you don't give enough money. What? Like, he just got all of his money taken from him, and then obviously he does, because Wayne Enterprise. Let me get the super chat real quick. Gail hated how she couldn't fit Bad's DC orders. And that makes sense. A lot of it is editorial. We don't know that, right? Like, a lot of it comes from behind the scenes. Thank you, Robert, by the way. And we don't know what is going on behind the scenes, but Barbara as Oracle, what do you prefer, Trisha? Do you like her as Oracle or as Batgirl?
Probably as Batgirl, but I understand why people like her as Oracle, and no hate to that.
The only one that I would say comes close when it comes to DC, just because I like DC more, is what they did to Stephanie Brown was pretty great. Like, I guess the
I'm
best
trying to
way to
remember
put it,
this. You're talking about Stephanie Brown. I'm not recalling this was Stephanie Brown.
like, remember she was
when
Robin
they killed her
for.
in
Go ahead.
what they
What was
killed
it?
her
War
in,
Games?
yeah, that was what they
Oh,
were
that.
complaining
Okay,
about.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
they didn't like the way that she was drawn when she died.
I never heard that. Oh my gosh, they did
Oh, you
the
didn't hear
same.
about that?
They did the exact same thing, if you remember, not that long ago when it came to Heroes in Crisis. They didn't like the way
with
Poison
Barbara,
Ivy's
it Clay
butt was
Man.
in the
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but that was a complaint that I remember with Stephanie Brown. Now, I did not like them making her Robin. I thought that was just ridiculous. But the way that it went down was they were complaining that the drawing of her when she died had her laying in a way that was very sexual. And this was similar. I don't know if you remember, there was a cover a few years ago with Poison Ivy, and
Yes,
she was like
yeah.
laying. It was like a similar pose as that, and so they're like, "Well, it's being seductive." I'm like, "I'm sorry, but if you've ever seen a woman who's in shape lay down, it's kind of hard to find a bad position where they don't look sexy. Sorry, it's just I didn't do it. Blame Jesus. It's not me."
Yeah, that's and then they got mad about a cover a few years later when Barbara was like right next to Joker and he had the
Yeah.
face paint on her. Like, I still don't understand that one. Like, is it
They
because of
claimed
the
that
trauma?
it was symbolizing him trying to assert again with the blood and trying to rape her. That was what they were complaining about. I didn't get the impression of that. I got the impression that Barbara probably would be frightened of him. The same way that I would think,
Yeah.
Dick Grayson might still, there was I think it was Robin Year One story where he gets beaten up by Two-Face, and that
Mhm.
this is the reason why he doesn't like Harvey Dent, whereas Bruce still kind of thinks Dent can be redeemed, and Dick is like, I want him nowhere near me. It was the same thing. It's like I would expect him to have that, and I would expect her to have that. So she's crying with Joker, having his arm around her with the gun, and they're like, "Oh, it's like stripping her of her agency and it's making her less powerful." And it's like, how many covers have we seen of male heroes crying? Like, it happens
Exactly.
all the time. So come
Yep.
on, it's like you're reaching.
In fantasy, I die. Thank you so much. 420. I love it. I love it so much. Love the channel in the panel. Take my money. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yeah, I still don't I get like the trauma issue, but I don't know if you guys read Three Jokers, but they kind of work through a lot of that trauma. not that that was my favorite story, because it definitely wasn't, but like
It brought up an
they
interesting new angle between Jason Todd and Barbara. I thought that was interesting there at the end.
like where they almost had him hook up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Barbara, at this point, hasn't Barbara slept with everybody but Damien?
No, she's never been with Tim.
Oh, good
'Cause-
point.
Yeah.
She's never been with Tim.
But Tim doesn't. Tim doesn't like girls anymore. Maybe. Maybe, I don't know, that he's going on crazy dates. Like I think it was. I don't think it was a terrible story, but it was like I have way less issue, and this seems to get brought up every live stream, but I'll say it anyway. I have way less issue with the John Kent thing. Tim has been a character for so long. It's Iceman, but not written as poorly.
Yeah.
Trisha, what did you? Go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
No,
No,
I was just
I
going
was
to
just
ask
gonna
her.
keep
I
saying
feel
things.
bad.
Go
She's
ahead.
quiet. I want to make sure I bring her in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't read the new John Kent stories. I know nothing about it, so you know.
Understandable.
Apparently, no one else did either, because it came out and nobody said anything.
I have to read them every week for our reviews, and I take more issue. It's more of an issue with him being portrayed as a quote unquote hero. That's the issue, and it's not good at all.
Oh, hell no. What? How is he not a hero?
Well, having to fight off global warming and
He's
pretty
not
much
fighting
future
global
state
warming.
being a dictator. And yeah,
Are we reading the same book?
I hope so.
Like he's fighting Henry Bendix and Gamora in the mind control that this guy is doing. But I think that climate crisis, whatever it was, had something to do with Australia. I don't think it's actually going to be in the book, because I didn't like issue 2. He was a little dictatorish.
Yes,
But-
he was. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, right there. I'm like, this isn't how you start off trying to build him up to be the superhero we want to root for, the Superman that they're trying to push upon us. It's like, this is not a good start right here.
Well, that's why it was
not coming across
pick
as
of the
very
week.
friendly.
Yeah, well, I get that, but I do think issue 5 was pretty good. Like, as far as like him saving people and kind of the callback to the fire guy in issue 1, I thought that was cool. It's not awful, but it's far from Tom Taylor's best work.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Well, in his Dark Knights is so good. Totally
Yes,
off
it is.
subject,
Yeah.
but like I love Tom Taylor's work, and that book is so damn good, and it's only got one issue out, and it's already that good. So
it really makes you disappointed when you read something like Superman, like the John Kent as Superman compared to that. It's like, is this the same guy? I don't understand what's going on here. It's got to be the editor.
It might be the editor, or it may also be that he's suffering from benditis. And occasionally it does happen where someone gets a case of benditis, where their politics becomes more important and all their characters start talking exactly the same, and that's all that matters. And then every now and again it'll kind of waft away, and they'll write something that's really good, and then it'll come back in everything else. So that may be what's happening. I don't know.
he gets what? What did you call it? Benditis?
Benditis.
What is that?
So that's when you believe your own hype to the point that you write every character exactly the same. So then when you go ahead and cut your teeth on an alternate version of a character, when you go and you get put on the real version of the character, he sounds the same as a 15-year-old boy. That was what he did when he got into Spider-Man. And then when he got onto X-Men, Brian Michael Bendis wrote all the characters as if they were exactly the same. They had no separate personalities. The dialogue was just interchangeable. And he believes his own hype. So he just writes the same thing over and over again. And it gets to be very boring and bad. But every now and again, he'll have a good one. And he did that with the when Dr. Doom was Iron Man. He did that, where that one was actually okay. But when he was writing Riri Williams, she was a psychopath.
She was a dictator. She took over a country. Remember that?
Oh,
yeah.
So I don't know if that's what's happening with Tom Taylor, but it sounds like that he just might have a case of benditis.
I think a lot of it also has to do with the editor. If you notice his Nightwing title, under, I think his editor's Ben Abernathy, different from the Superman titles, is so much better. Like, his Nightwing's really good for the most part as of right now, even though we're getting through this Fear State crap.
They're still doing that?
Oh my God. We still got Fear State Omega coming out next week. And I am so sick of it. Like, I read all the books, and that's pathetic, but I do. Not near as much as Drew, but I read all the Bat books. I read all the DC books for the most part. I've dropped a couple, but Fear State feels like it's been going on all fucking year, and it's not that good. Like,
No.
it is a repetition of information followed by one fight with a repetition of information, and then a Ivy kiss, and then a repetition of information, and then Miracle Molly. Like, that's all it is. It's so boring.
I could have sworn that was done like 2 months ago.
I wish.
Yeah,
I
me
really
too.
thought
it was
Me.
It's Joker War was better, and that's saying a lot. Like, it really is. I feel like Tinian is a good writer. Don't get me wrong, especially on his side titles, but it feels like he knew he was leaving for Substack, so he just got it over with. He was
Yes.
just like, I'm done with this game.
Yes, I'm fairly certain he phoned this in. As soon as he got that deal, he was like, all right, I'll pad this out till next year. So, yeah, there should be no complaints at all. None whatsoever.
And started creating all the side characters. Like, I'm going to get as many IPs as I can in the Bat family so I can get some royalties if they ever catch on.
Never to be used again after this. Most of them we'll never see again, I guarantee it.
Well,
He's trying to get those like 20-cent royalties because
Right.
they're not going to give him any money. I mean, they're not giving Brubaker money. They're not giving him any money.
Well, and I even know, like, earmuffs if you don't want spoilers for next week's books or the week after, I'm not sure. Miracle Molly's going to jail, so she's going to be gone. Like, the most interesting fucking character you're taking away. And you've already got Punchline in jail. Like, what the...
Well, Tristan, in that defense, I argue by putting her in jail, showing what she's going to go through in jail, you could argue by making her more interesting by putting her in there, seeing what she's going to do, what she's going to plan. That's going to make her a more interesting
just, like,
character.
use her tech in her brain, like, and hack and get the fuck out of there?
Maybe, I don't know, build a network, build a team of prisoners in there. I don't do something. I guarantee it'll be much more interesting than what we got beforehand. Just
That's
watch.
true. You know, when she saves Batman all the time. Batman doesn't
Again.
know how to save himself anymore. It's so sad.
No.
Tom King broke that character
Tom King.
in ways
Yeah.
that just I don't think he's going to recover from for some time.
I don't think I've ever met anybody that's been like, I love Tom King's run, the entire thing. Never.
Sean does. I'll say that. Sean's.
What?
What's hysterical about that is that at MegaCon this year, Sean, me, we met up with Dane DiDio and Robert Vendetti. We were chatting away for like an hour, and we started talking about Tom King, and Sean started telling Dan how much he loved Tom King's run, and Dan was like, "Oh, I hated it. I hated the run. Hated the whole thing."
That's
And
hilarious.
Sean was trying to defend it, and I'm looking at Sean. I'm like, "Fuck yes, yeah, take it right there."
That is hilarious. I liked it up until 50, and then it was just like, yeah, I'm over this. Like, no, that is hilarious that he admitted that though. Like,
Yeah.
after
Not just
he
once,
got
not twice,
left the
3
job-
times.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Dan DiDio, is for as much as his faults, maybe he didn't have as many as what we're seeing. Like, okay, this isn't about feminism, but there are a lot of people talking about DC going by way of Marvel, 4 or 5 years ago?
2017 Marvel, all
2017.
new, all different. Yeah.
Yes. So my question is, do you see the same patterns?
Yes. I mean, they've practically copied the same teams. They've done the same thing. They've excised all the Justice League, right, and replaced them with politically correct versions.
No, they haven't.
Just about. They've replaced Superman, right? They replaced Aquaman,
Nope.
right?
Yeah,
you
they
got
are.
a new Aquaman.
No, he's
Yes.
not replacing him. They're working alongside each other.
Yeah,
to be
no.
fair.
Aquaman's gonna be a stay-at-home dad. He's going to be the new Aquaman,
Yeah.
But they're doing the Aquaman title.
leading to him being Aquaman.
Yeah, they're taking what the 5G thing was going to be, they're going to do it. They're just working their way through it because of how convoluted it was when the deal left. So they're still implementing it. So they're working their way through. I don't know why they slowed down with the Wonder Girl thing.
Oh,
Because they were
good.
really pushing that.
That's a mess right now with all the different Wonder Women right now. They should have just picked one and stuck with it.
Oh my God! Shut your dirty commie mouth.
What?
It is. You don't like Joelle Jones Wonder Woman?
No, I do. I do enjoy Joelle Jones' series on the Wonder Girl. It's only been 4 issues, 3,
yeah,
5,
4
maybe?
or 5. Yeah,
yeah, not enough. We should be up to issue 10 by now, as far as I
know. It's really slow.
Yeah,
and I will say I like Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad's their Wonder Woman. It's not the best Wonder Woman. It's not like Hikatea levels of good, but it's good. But for what was it, Nubia in the Amazons? It is
I think just some guy loved that one, right? I think that was your pick of the year.
Absolutely. He was first in line to get 5 issues. It was so boring this last issue. It was okay, but it was a lot of talking.
They were in an office on Themyscira. In an office talking. On a fantasy island with warrior women in an office. I could not believe it.
I don't know what they're going to do with that.
It's current year. Whatever it is that you find exciting, they are not going to do that because you're going to sit in an office. I mean, X-Men did this. They have X-Corps, which is them running the business. I can't wait to read. Look, this is not Japan. You can make that work in Japan. We're going to have a comic book about a business and running the business. You can make that work, but then they're creative. They will actually make that exciting. We don't do that.
So wait, is that a real title?
X-Corps, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I'm so title.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm picking at Marvel.
Yes, selling pharmaceuticals.
Oh man, it's just like everything. You take every bizarre situation you could imagine of like corporatizing superheroes, and there is a way to make that funny and work. And I mean, One Punch Man does it all the time, and it's like built into the humor that the heroes are kind of part of a business. They're part of like some conglomerate. They have rankings and they get paid based on how many villains they take out. It's insane, but it works.
Yeah.
But we do it and we get, hey, we're gonna have the characters sit in a room for 20 pages. Aren't you excited? No, because that works on film. It does not work in a comic book. It's boring because no one's moving.
Yeah, I was just thinking the movie Mystery Men with Ben Stiller. Greg Kinnear played that awesome man or whatever. He had all those corporate logos on him, all his corporate sponsors. That was an example in film. They did it right. But Booster Gold, I think, is really the one from DC that's managed to get that corporate sponsorship right.
And social media, too. It actually works really well. Hold on, let me get this super chat here. Robert, thank you. The difference is Marvel said, enjoy the replacements. You have no choice, no other option. DC at least kept the original alongside the new blood. And that's where I have the problem with people saying like it's some sort of weird replacement agenda. Because alongside of Aquaman the Becoming, we have Deep Target or Deep Impact or whatever. They both sound like porn titles. I don't care. You have The Becoming and Deep Target. What the fuck were you thinking with those names? Regardless.
Well, the Becoming, he is gay now. Before he was into girls. Then they claimed he was bisexual. Now he's just gay.
Wait, Aqualad was straight before?
Yes. In the comic, he was straight. They changed it in the comics after they did the rebirth thing. But originally he was straight. And the show,
I do remember that.
Then they decided, now he's bisexual. And now they've just forgotten that. No, he's gay. He's never shacking up with a woman
problem. Anymore. When they switched it over after Rebirth, they, I guess, had a miscommunication. I guess that was the excuse that Geoff Johns said he was gay and then told some, I don't know. It was blamed on miscommunication. I do remember that. But then as far as DC, you've got Jace Fox actually leaving. So we're still going to have Batman. That's not an issue. Like after Shadows of the Bat, we know he's coming back. We know he is.
But it's probably the best thing for the Jace character. You know, get him out of Gotham, put him in New York City. He can build his own identity there, bust ass there. He can become something else than Batman in New York City.
I actually think that is
to make
super
that work.
smart.
It just didn't work. They tried so bad to make him work, and it just like when you have him on the cover, the title of it is "I Am Batman." You've lost.
Yeah.
You are not Batman. We all know what Batman looks like. You are not him. Stop it.
No, Robert said no, he wasn't straight. In Young Justice, he was bi. When Geoff Johns brought him over for Brightest Day, he thought the character was gay and it stuck. I knew there was some sort of miscommunication. Okay. I just couldn't remember what it was. But like getting Jace Fox out of Gotham is so smart because he's actually not a terrible character. Like I don't think John Ridley can write, but he writes his politics very deep into stuff. Like the army is literally, or the bad guys are literally called the moral authority. The moral fucking authority. But if you can put that cringe aside, it's not a terrible book. The problem is he is trying to be Batman in a city that already has Batman. What's the point?
Now, I will make the argument that he was focused on the Black Panther series more than the I Am Batman because the Black Panther #1, it was a pretty solid, good issue, pretty good, solid comic. But I can tell you can tell if you read that compared to his Batman run, where his focus is. I think this Batman run got was on the back burner.
Yeah, I read I was gonna say Batman. I read Black Panther and it was honestly pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Like way better than what we had been getting from Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yes, exactly. And I really think that's where his focus was. And you can just tell, like, okay, he was clearly more focused on Black Panther than Batman.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully that doesn't stick. But yes, Bane, I hear you. Everyone hears you. And then the other characters, like Wonder Woman's still there. She's back on Earth. So they really haven't gotten rid of all the titles like they did with Marvel. Like, is there any other ones? Like,
no, they haven't gotten rid of the titles. It's just that they're putting our legacy characters, the characters we know, on the back burner. They're trying to push all the other characters at the forefront. That's the issue. They're trying to sell some of these new characters, and a lot of us aren't buying it, which is their problem.
Right. I don't know. I kind of the way I've described it. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. He's so loud. The way I've kind of described it is it's capitalism at its finest. They're trying to keep the old customers and they're trying to bring in new customers and bring in a new readership, maybe. Depending, a lot of people like that Young Justice show. I haven't actually seen it, but
it's really good.
They may cross over and see what oh my gosh, what's his name? Aqualad. I can't even remember his name. And I've read all the books. That's fucking sad. Jackson Hyde is doing. So maybe it'll work. I don't know. I think it's a little bit smarter than what Marvel did, but I definitely think that they are trying to push the newer characters for a newer audience. I think they know that their audience is pissed off and they need to bring somebody in.
And we can attest to it. I mean, we know our customers at our store. The average age range and demographic is males between the ages of 30 to 50. Those are the customers. That is our 98% customer base. And so these are the ones who grew up with those legacy characters. When you see these new characters coming about, it's like you need to do a damn good job of selling us on them. And they're not doing a damn good job right now.
Well, you look at what's happened with Damian Wayne. Damian's been around for about the same amount of time as Tim Drake was around when Damian was introduced. He still hasn't completely gotten over with a lot of fans. I'd say maybe people are more 60-40, maybe 65-35 for him. But it's still like if you got rid of Damian as Robin, there's a significant chunk of people who'd be like, yeah, I don't care. Like that's
what?
It's hard to get new characters over with comic book readers.
It absolutely
it's just
is.
really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to do that and the original character is so iconic, it just doesn't work. They've tried this with Spider-Man and they've tried all they can to get Miles Morales over, and he still isn't really where they want him to be. They want him to be the one that everyone thinks of when you say Spider-Man, and they don't. And it's not going to happen because Peter is iconic. he is Spider-Man, and you're just not going to be able to get rid of that. And they can try, but it just doesn't work. Everybody wants to see what Peter is going to do, not what Miles is going to do. That's why everyone calls him Miles, not Spider-Man. It's just not working. So I don't know why they would try this with Wonder Woman or Batman or Superman and think it's gonna. Nobody thinks John is Superman. They call him John.
Right.
So I mean, and it's on the cover. It's the son of Kal-El.
Yeah.
They're just telling you this isn't the guy you're looking for.
You, Trisha, do you have any love for Damian or for Miles Morales?
I don't really know much about Miles Morales. I don't like Damian at all. No, I think he's a little shit.
See,
That's just it.
Improved as a character. He used to be just completely insufferable, and he's improved as a character. The Robin comic is solid.
Oh yeah,
it is really, really good, but it's going completely under the radar. And of course, DC isn't really promoting it. So
no, and
DC
a lot of the good
doesn't
comics
promote
they are not promoting at all. Like I would say, Suicide Squad, Flash, Robin, Swamp Thing. They're not pushing those at all.
Swamp Thing's so good.
Yeah.
I heard you say today that you don't really have anyone in your shop that's buying that Superman 78 title by Robert Venditti.
No, in our shop, I am the only one. When we went to go to books for the week, Kyle picked them up, and he said, like, there's only one copy here. He's like, yeah, that's for Drew. He's like, Drew's the only one reading it? It's like, yeah, no one likes it. Like, are you kidding me? No one. I don't know what I got to do. I got to get out in the street and start downtown Indianapolis, and start preaching. Please pick this up, please. Or I'm throwing myself in front of this car. Please read this.
Well, you shouldn't have to do it. DC Comics should do it. It is their job to promote their books, and they do a terrible job. Almost as bad as Marvel. Marvel has like 58 events happening right now. Nobody knows how many of them are happening. You have no idea. You have to promote it. You have social media, you have YouTube. Put videos out and promote the work. Get people excited.
Yes.
I want to.
Superman 78 is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, real quick. Bianca, happy birthday. I told you. It is your birthday, and she is 26 years old today. She's awesome. She is reviewing He-Man with me tomorrow, so wanted to make sure I said happy birthday. Had to work on her birthday. That sucks. But yeah, I don't get it because I know a lot of people like Superman 78. It's okay. It's not my favorite title at DC, but even like
it's the best
Flash.
Superman title. I'll say that.
Who's writing that again?
Robert Venditti.
And who's the artist?
Jorge.
The art is not that good.
It's okay. He does a good job of getting across what the characters look like from the Superman films.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I was thinking number 78, not the actual Superman 78. Okay.
I think it's Wilfredo Torres. That's his name. I think.
Okay, so this is the one where it's based off of Christopher Reeve.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't been reading that one.
Yeah, Wilfredo Torres is on the art. I honestly, because I grew up, to me, Superman 78 is the best superhero movie ever. And Superman 2 is great. And this is what Superman 3 should have been, what could have been. And Robert Venditti has the voices down pat with what they would have said, what they sound like, what they're going to say. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not action. Like that Action Comics, that last one with Philip Kennedy Johnson, when they had to do like that almost Trail of Tears walk. I don't know. That was powerful. That was really good.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
I definitely think that's a good title. It's one. Okay, it's tied for the best.
Well, it's one of two. Yeah, because Action Comics, with Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing, it's on a good trajectory right now. We'll see where it goes. But Superman 78, it's only been 4 or 5 issues, but every issue has been consistently great.
Oh yeah, same with Batman 89. Just kidding. I dropped that after 2 issues. It was terrible.
Good move.
Oh my god. It was like Batman 89 in 2021. It made 0 sense.
Yeah. It was clear that they did not have a script for Batman Returns. They just adapted to what happened last year with the riots and everything and put that into the script.
I thought that the idea for that was just to connect it to the Flashpoint movie that's going to be coming out. because Michael Keaton's supposed to be in that. So maybe that was why they were doing it. And I'm starting to think they might CGI Christopher Reeve into the movie as well, just to have that little crossover.
That would be so weird.
Yes, it would be.
They're gonna do it. I mean, they did it in the Ghostbusters movie. They added in Harold Ramis, so yeah.
That's so weird. I guess I haven't seen that movie. I don't care about Ghostbusters. It's weird.
It's good. I thought I had a good time watching it. It wasn't bad. Wasn't great. It was good. You know, got a little choked up there at the end. It got me at the end, but yeah, it wasn't bad, in my opinion.
I don't even know if I think I've seen the first one. I remember like the big marshmallow man. Other than that, I have no ties to Ghostbusters except for watching people make fun of Ghostbusters 2016. That's the most entertainment I've gotten out of Ghostbusters. Let's be real here. Like, I don't know.
Mr. Plinkett, Red Letter Media. That's where it's at.
What's that?
Red Letter Media, Mr. Plinkett, him doing his reviews.
Oh, yes. So what, with the MCU, with everything going on, and I'm not a huge Marvel person, but I know there is a lot. Oh, let me get the super chat here. Robert, thank you very much. Batman 89, if it shows up, there we go, used an old plot with a 2021 script. Yeah, it definitely was current
Yes,
day.
it's clear that they took part of that old script and took what happened in the headlines last year and put that into the script.
We've actually seen that a lot. I had somebody ask me the other day if, when I was talking about the vaccines, because the Biden administration, I guess, teamed up with DC to do some cringy, like, poster you get or something like that. And I was showing older versions of, when they did it for the polio vaccine or when they did it for shingles, when they've done it before. I actually had somebody ask the other day, like, do you actually think they would put in the writing and the mask and everything in comics? I'm like, yeah, like every single book in DC shows some sort of rioting. Like Alleytown alone was a mess when it comes to the Catwoman title. They're showing it, and that seems like what is a lot. Like, I almost got the inkling, I guess I would say, that they were trying to make Simon Faust, what's his name? Fauci.
You mean the Lying Munchkin?
Yeah. Like, it really felt like they were trying to make him that. And I'm like, I don't know if that's what you meant to go for, but clearly this is supposed to be like a Fauci reference.
It's such a bad idea because it's going to date the book the moment that this passes. And at first I didn't realize why that was such a bad idea. I remember when I was little, and Aladdin came out from Disney, they were going on and on about Robin Williams putting all these cultural references in and how that was unusual. And they tried not to do that because it would date the movie.
Right.
And I have friends who have kids and friends who were kids and now are adults, and they got most of the references because most of the people there were still around. Like they knew what Arnold Schwarzenegger was, but they didn't get like the Groucho Marx reference. I thought he was doing Bugs Bunny when I was a kid because I only saw Bugs Bunny doing that. I had no idea who Groucho Marx was. And so I'm willing to bet that that's what was being perceived. But when you're on the nose, I mean, the moment that people are outside of that, it just makes no sense. And it doesn't take long. It could be like 5 years and that'll be it. Nobody's going to get the reference anymore, or it might be too obscure. You try to watch some of the older movies or something, or read older books, and they have these references to songs and politicians and whatnot, and they're doing these little jabs that are clearly innuendos, but they just go completely over your head because you weren't there, so you don't know what they're talking about. Just think it's a bad idea. And topics take so long to make. Why would you even do that?
Frank Miller did the same thing in Dark Knight Strikes Again there at the end. I mean, not just having the Twin Towers fall, but like he had what's his name, Donald Rumsfeld there at the end. It's like, who's going to know who Donald Rumsfeld is today? I mean, who wasn't a teenager in her 20s or 30s back then, or alive back then?
Yep.
They're like, who's this guy?
I have no idea who that even is.
So, there you go.
Yeah, I have no clue. Like, even looking back at the old books, they put like Reagan right in what was it, Captain America. Like those things I recognize, but a lot of the other ones kind of. I wonder also if social media is going to date these books. Like if you look at the newest, what was it, Kate Bishop book, it was like all about a TikToker.
Oh,
Like,
that's. You remember Vines? You remember Vines?
kind of.
That was 5 years ago, and it's
Oh.
out of the cultural zeitgeist. That was 5 years ago. Vines used to be what TikTok is today. Basically TikTok is a Chinese version of Vines. It's the same thing.
It's basically the same
it was-
thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was super hot. It was like all my friends' teenage kids were just making videos of themselves. I'm like, y'all are gonna get arrested doing like, just keep your clothes on when you take the videos, okay? Just for the love of God, because it was everywhere. Now it's gone, and you have references to that. Nobody knows what you're talking about. TikTok is going to be like that. People have references to MySpace. Nobody uses MySpace anymore.
Oh my gosh, MySpace.
Napster, Morpheus, gone. Right? Nobody uses a sidekick. I was listening to it was something like Twist a Song, and it mentioned like a sidekick. And I couldn't remember what it was for like 20 seconds. My mind's like, what the hell is he talking about? Oh yeah, that was that when you used to carry around your sole texting device and your phone. They were separate. Like no one knows what you're talking about. It's not that long ago. That was like 2005.
Oh my
Like, this
gosh.
stuff is fast.
I just realized something. If you go back to read The Ultimates by Mark Millar, all the early 2000s references in that, holy crap, that's going to date it really bad.
Well,
Yeah,
and
I
now
mean, that
go
was with George W. Bush, right? Like Magneto goes and captures him and tortures him. So it's it's not going to work.
now Mark Millar is doing the Jupiter's Requiem, and and I actually think it's really cool. He's taken it to the Uyghur Muslims. Like, you don't see that. It works really well, but you don't actually see people in mainstream, it's image, but in mainstream comics, take it to real issues. Like, that's a real issue.
No, because they're kind of like, they've inadvertently been like, say, like, oh, we don't talk about them, we don't do anything. It's like, well, I got to give him kudos if he's doing that, because a lot of people won't touch it, won't do it, or they're told not to.
That's a book that I think they need to actually like put out there and market. It's a and it's a beautiful book. And now with it being canceled, it's not gonna matter. Like, it's just not gonna matter. And it's really good. And that's a shame with DC too, because I had Jeremy Adams on the channel, and he absolutely loved, and he was so excited how he was writing Flash and what he got to do with his daughter and how she helped him do this. And the Flash title is so good. And it's all ages in the way that everybody can enjoy it. It's not all ages in like the kids' way. Like, the way they broke the fourth wall this last issue is so good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this man deserves so much more work, but I feel like it's an inevitability that he's not going to actually.
I think a part of the problem is people are afraid the fear state that the future state Wally is all leading to that. It's going to lead to him being a serial killer again, which is why a lot of people probably aren't jumping on the bandwagon. And that's why I wish I could have asked him that. Like, are you going to make him a serial killer again, like they did in Future State? Please don't. Then I'm sure the fans will start coming back.
From my understanding, they're not. Bianca, it's your birthday and you're sending a super chat. Not related, but congrats to Dannphan on her new PC. Hope it's working well for her, and congrats on her comic. I really like Orgasm Girl.
Fascinating.
Yeah, how could you not like something with that title?
Yeah, tell me more.
Don't you have another comic out?
Yeah, Sonic City Witch.
That's awesome. Is it on your website?
Yeah, I'm trying to put everything that's finished on the website, but comics are slow.
Robert, can you put her website in the chat, and I'll pin it so people can go check it out. But yeah, you have a book coming out, Drew.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I do. That's true. Yeah. I wasn't sure when you wanted to talk about that, or
yeah, go ahead. I mean, it works out perfect with feminism and in comics.
Yes, it does. It's very true. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Let me get this super chat, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Any heroes you think are better than the original? Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, Wally West.
Wally. Yeah, well, I don't know. I like Barry, but I know a lot of people like Wally.
Wally was my first Flash. So that's probably why I like him more. I like, even though Dick Grayson's technically my favorite DC Comics character, I still think Tim Drake is a better Robin than him. I
Yeah.
find him to be a more interesting character. My second favorite character in DC Comics is the only Batgirl who matters, Cassandra Cain. So
She is the best Batgirl.
and I loved that book before they decided to switch the creative team. When it was Kelly Puckett and Damian Scott, they were murdering every freaking issue. It was so awesome, and they switched the creative team, and it just kind of went downhill from there. There are a
Another
lot
one
of
would
really
be
good characters.
Black
that are like that.
Canary.
There was
Black
a different
Canary
one?
too. Yeah, there was her mom. Well, was it her mom?
Her mom was the original one on the JSA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she took over for her mom. That would I guess would kind of constitute a better character. What about like Stargirl taking over for Starman? That would I love Stargirl. I know a lot of people are like, meh, Stargirl. I love the old JSA characters. Even like Dr. Midnighter, Rex taking over for Rick. I don't know. They're all great characters.
Geoff Johns, I mean, he did it. The thing was with Jeff's run on JSA, I've read it multiple times. It's that he did a great balancing act of getting people to appreciate the old school as well as the new school guys. So it's like really one wasn't better than the other one, if you read that, which was great.
That's very true. They really need Geoff Johns back.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Geoff Johns could have been what made DC excel. And at this point it's like you've stuck him to the side so much he went to Image.
Yeah.
Like, and Geiger's fantastic. I have nothing against that, but why not put him to work? Like, pretty sure he would probably be okay with that. Like, I don't know. I think it's a shame. But all right, tell us a little bit about your comic, Drew.
Well, my comic will be on Kickstarter on Tuesday. It's called Born of Blood. It is following the daughter of King Cleomenes, the king of Sparta, and we're going to see her whole life from issues 1 through 6. We're going to see her suffering, her triumphs, her struggles, getting beat down, just falling in love. She's going to be a fully developed character as well as a woman. We're going to see her as a real person. Someone you can root for, someone you're going to feel emotions with. It's going to be great.
Whoa,
Absolutely.
crazy.
I know, right? Yeah. Sean and I we read every book every week, and he told me, he gave me an opportunity. He's like, write it the way you would. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Sounds good. So I really hope I'm trying to influence people to buy one of the great covers we're going to have, but get the $5 digital copy, read it, and let me know what you think about how I did it. I'm asking that of everyone.
I definitely think it'll be worth it. Everybody, just so you know, it will be at 11 a.m. We are going to launch it here. I'll put the link up. I don't have the link up right now for a reminder, but we are going to do a little bit of a sneak preview, and
yes.
I'm so excited. So this is the first time we've shown this trailer to anyone. Okay, I'm a little excited. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here's the trailer for the book. My name is Giaris. I am the daughter of Cleomenes, king of Sparta. This is the first chapter in the story of my life. Be warned, this isn't a story for the faint of heart. Unlike most in your time, nothing was handed to me. My life was one forged with pain, punishment, and countless battles. When you read my story, you will see I truly was born of blood. Color this holiday season red with Born of Blood. Only on Kickstarter. Yay, I'm so excited! Bianca, why does it sound like Tristan? Because it is me. Oh no, we lost Trisha.
Oh.
Hopefully she comes back. I am so excited for this book.
Yeah,
I
and
cannot.
I'm excited for it. I want people to read it. I really want people to read it. Like I would be thrilled if someone like Just Some Guy read it and gave his honest review. I really would love for him to review it.
Yeah, I want to check this out because I'm a sucker for stories about Greeks. So
Yeah, no pressure.
She sounded kind of tired. I'm watching everybody's because I work my ass off on that, and I'm looking like, you know what, what's everyone saying? This is gonna be awesome. Make sure you guys, I'll put the link up. It'll be up tomorrow for the Morning Brew for the actual launch. Are you nervous?
I've been nervous since I wrote page 1 when I was I've been nervous every single day. I'm surprised I don't have more gray hairs than I do right now. But I'm going to be so flippin' nervous come Tuesday. Yeah.
That's awesome though. So I don't want to dwell on it because I want to talk about other stuff, but when are you're expecting fulfillment? I forget when.
Next month. Yes. So we have the thing about us at Merck Magazine is that our printing plant is in St. Louis, which is not far from Indianapolis. So when the campaign ends December 31st, it's all going to the printers. And come January, we start our fulfillments that next month. Everything we have put out through Merck Magazine comes out on time. Everything is fulfilled the next month.
Thank you. That is the best thing ever. It's so important to have the book done before you go to your campaigns.
Yes.
So that you don't have to worry about fulfillment issues.
Exactly.
So that's awesome.
What about
come January,
shipping?
Everyone guaranteed will get their copies, barring a major plague or shutdown. Yes, everyone will be getting their copies in January.
What about overseas?
Those do. Yes, we do ship overseas as well. Yes, they'll be going out in January as well.
Awesome. I'm so excited. It looks so great. Like everything I've seen looks amazing. This is gonna be really cool.
Yeah, it's completely sold out.
Guys, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's sold out completely at New York Comic Con, and 2 of the covers are completely. These are the preview copies. Sold out at New York Comic Con, and 2 of them are sold out on our website as well. So yeah,
that's awesome. I really think that the crowdfunding crew has been doing a fantastic job of coming up with really great stories. Obviously I've been praising Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini for their stuff on Common America.
Oh yeah.
Doug Ernst is killing it with Soul Finder.
Yep.
Richard Can't Stand Your Meyer has been killing it with his books. There are lots of people who are putting out really great work, and they're circumventing the nonsense with the industry. Which I'm surprised they haven't tried to adapt to yet. I mean, they've dipped their toe in it a little bit, but this is just proving that you don't have to go through Diamond's convoluted nonsense to get your stuff out there.
Yeah,
and they're suffering for it anyway. But I mean, this is where you're going to find the creative stuff, because you don't have anyone cutting you off and trying to change it or gatekeeping you out because it doesn't fit their ridiculous political positions or whatever. You just put the book out there and see what happens.
It's the freedom. I love the freedom of it. It's great. And you can just tell whatever story you want and let the customer decide if they like it or not. And I honestly couldn't imagine if, I know it won't, but Marvel or DC came knocking, hey, we want you to write this backup story. I'm like, nope, not happening. Just because I know I won't get the freedom to tell the story I want to write.
Yeah, that's very true. I've even seen a lot of Jimmy Palmiotti go into Kickstarter. The people that are in the industry actually using it to be able to tell their story. Let me get the Bianca for Dannphan, Muriel versus Deku for All Might's Power. Who deserves and why?
Yeah, definitely Muriel.
I haven't caught up on My Hero Academia. I've been buying the volumes. I have the digital vault thing, and I was like binge reading them. I've been binge reading Dannphan. So I'm behind, and I kind of got disgusted with Boruto, so I kind of stopped reading stuff for a little bit. So I'm a little bit behind. I don't know what's happening. So are they fighting or something now for All Might's Power? Did I miss something?
I seen years ago.
Okay.
I have no idea. Last I heard, Deku was having an evil arc or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's where I
Okay.
stopped reading. Yeah, but he went good again. So, um,
Of course, yeah.
Raymond, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to read Born of Blood. The preview issue is really good. You should be proud, Drew. You've done an amazing job so far. Also, nicely done with the voice acting, Kristen. The trailer was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, issues 1 through 3 are done. Issue 3 is with my editor right now. 4 through 6 are all scripted out. I love every issue coming up, especially issue 3. You guys are gonna love it. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's crazy. Like, it amazes me when people are able to do that. I know that Perch just did one crowdfunding, and it was like almost nearly immediately filled. Like, that's so rare nowadays. It's usually like a year or 2 years late, which is ridiculous for the consumer. I know they're kind of clamping down on that when it comes to Indiegogo. But
it never happened with us. With Merc Magazine, we've never been late at all on anything. So yeah, this will be fulfilled in January.
That's awesome. It's gonna be awesome. I'm excited. Make sure you guys are there Tuesday.
What is Indiegogo doing with the crowdfunding now? They're actually making people try to fulfill it or something?
Yeah, like they're trying to protect the consumer. It's like the wording of it is like people can kind of go through, and if they've backed it and it's been like a year and you're not late, they can kind of flag it to say it's not, and you're supposed to have to now every month update your customers.
Okay.
It's not really much. Like, if you're not going to fraud, like, screw somebody over, you have nothing to worry about, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds fair. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with people being late with the books.
Yes.
I give DNC a little bit of slack because he had to sue Gollum. So, obviously it's gonna take some of his attention. But with other folks, it's like, come on, just if you know it's gonna take you time, announce the book, promote the book, get people excited, and then when you have it ready to go, then go ahead and announce it so it can get out and get to people, and that solves that problem.
You shouldn't be still working on a book that's 9 months ago. Like, that's at a point where it's getting ridiculous. Plus, I think there was a lot of issues with like people not getting the product that they ordered. Like, it was really like it was promised this prestige book, and then the book came and it was crappy. So I think they're trying to cut down on that. They're not going like, what's that new crowdfunding platform where you have to be approved to check your social media? Like, it's nothing like that. It's just protecting the consumer as far as right now.
There's another one?
Yeah, you remember the girl that was working for Kickstarter?
Oh, Camilla Zong?
Yeah, she started it. It's like Zoom, thank you. And she started it, so it's like really exclusive, apparently. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, it's called Zoom?
Yeah.
Zoop. Like poop, but soup. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great name.
Super, super creative name.
I think that's a really bad idea, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that's that with Camila, she was already really having issues on Kickstarter. I can't imagine that this is going to be I don't know. She's very authoritarian. We'll just call her that. We'll leave it at that. So let's talk about. I started talking about it earlier, but I'm not a huge MCU people, and I know there are people that like aren't super interested in the Marvel movies, but they're still making a bunch of money. But this last movie brought up a lot of questions about the gender bending of characters. What's your kind of views on that, Trisha?
I mean, I don't know. I guess some people like seeing alt universes and stuff like that, and I get it. I don't think like gender bending a character makes them better by default in any way, though. And sometimes it can be handled in a pretty creepy way, of course. So I don't know. I guess it's another thing where it's like, yeah, I guess depends how well it's done, or But if you're asking if I like it in general, then no.
I get
I don't
that.
really look for that.
I actually, with this whole new Hawkeye show coming out, and I liked it. When they did the Black Widow movie, they gender bent Taskmaster and then they kind of threw her out, right? I wonder if that is because they're introducing Echo. Like, honestly, isn't Echo kind of very similar to Taskmaster and
Except not deaf.
Dannphan?
Yeah.
Like, isn't she basically the same character?
Except not deaf, which is Echo, but that's about it.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's why they threw that character away, so they could build up Echo instead of using Taskmaster. You know what I mean?
I think it's just lazy writing. Whatever is happening at Disney with the Marvel movies, whatever magic they had, they have seemed to have just lost it.
Oh no.
It is amazing that their batting average is just tanking with each one. They are turning off normies. And when you turn off the average viewer, you know, the people who are not comic book fans, they just like the movies, and they're like, you're not. It's not a good idea. I mean, the entire thing was sort of built up around these very particular characters, and they spent 10 years building up to those Avenger films. You got the payoff. You kind of want to give it a rest and maybe release one movie a year, maybe have one TV show and kind of slowly build it back up to another major event. And they're buying up all the licenses again, or buying the companies that have the licenses for the characters that they want. Who's everybody waiting to see? The X-Men. So there's your avenue to kind of work that back in so that you can get the excitement to see it. It's like if you were to be teasing that you're going to bring in the X-Men, I think that would get more people interested and you would be able to work it. But if if you've gotten rid of all of your established characters, the main ones right now that would have a draw are Spider-Man.
Right.
Maybe Doctor Strange. I don't know that he's that big of a draw, but Spider-Man is their biggest draw at the moment. I don't know if that's enough to get people interested, because you're going to be replacing all these characters that everybody likes. And
But
you didn't take the time to build them up to get people to like the ones that you're replacing them with. So, that usually backfires.
I mean, but are they really turning off the normies? All their movies are still making really good money.
They're making decent money, but not great money like it used to. And to Justin Guy's point,
Pandemic.
What's that?
We're in we're post-pandemic.
Yeah, so they can't really use that excuse anymore. They can kind of, but I mean, a lot of theaters are open up to full capacity now, especially here in Indianapolis. But to Justin Guy's point, when they had the investor day not too long ago, when they started announcing the next projects coming out, the investors weren't really that excited. From what I saw, like the stock, it didn't go up. I think it went down, if anything, after the investor day. So really, their hopes, their money is all on Spider-Man and whatever comes after that.
I mean, Spider-Man's definitely going to make $1 billion. Like, there's no doubt about it. Spider-Man's going to be a huge draw. And then they're going to tie it to Doctor Strange and make that a huge draw. Like, I know they're bringing out a lot of shows, but the shows are all pretty decent quality. I haven't watched What If, so I don't know about that one. I can't speak to that one. But with Hawkeye, I don't know, like, it finally feels like he deserved this a long time ago. Like, if anybody deserved it, he is the only Avenger that's never had his own movie. Yes, Bane, I fucking hear you. I'm so sorry. He hates when I am on this computer. But yeah, I get they're not making as much money as maybe they were during their, Infinity War Endgame type stuff. But there's still clearly a draw there. They're still making a lot of money.
But they want that $1 billion. Like
and they'll get it.
This is the level that they're at this point, is that they will say the movie bombed if it doesn't crack $1 billion. And it's not like it didn't make its money back. They will still say it bombed. Now, the other thing is you got to keep in mind is that a lot of these projects, they're almost entirely animated at this point. The actors are just basically in GIMP suits and on set for like 20 minutes, and then everything else is animated. the budgets are $200 million. The marketing for it is usually about the same amount. So in order to break even, they have to make $400 to $500 million.
And
The
they
way
are.
the way the studio works though is that they don't care if they get that in the long run. They want it in that first opening weekend. So they want that money made back opening weekend. If they don't get it in the opening weekend, they will call it a bust, which is ridiculous because obviously they're going to make their money back. But they will call it like, well, it kind of didn't do what we wanted. That's what they're expecting. So I think the Spider-Man movie can bring it out of people. I don't know if the Doctor Strange movie will, because the first one really didn't. It did better than an average movie would do, right? I think it made something like $600-700 million, which is phenomenal, but it didn't hit the billion, and that's what they're looking for. They want that 1 billion every time. I don't know if they're going to get that. Black Widow kind of didn't do that. Shang-Chi didn't really do that. Eternals, I mean, it's not going the way that they want. And with the Eternals, that was a perfect example of even the audience is like, yeah, we don't like this. So that magic that they had to be able to get Guardians of the Galaxy over has like flipped in their face. Now there's another Guardians of the Galaxy movie coming out that might do very well.
Oh, I'm sure.
I would expect that to do very well. Then again, the Suicide Squad came out. That's a James Gunn movie, and it kind of did. So
It was a
I don't know.
fantastic movie, though.
Yes, it was.
I enjoyed it, but it didn't do what I think Warner Brothers expected it to do. Now, granted, you're in the middle of a pandemic; it's affecting things, but I don't think it got the response they wanted. So there's a lot of waffling that's going on here, and with the TV shows, I mean, Disney Plus is not making the bank Disney wanted. It is not as successful as they wanted it to be at all. So I don't know how many people are actually really watching those shows or getting Disney Plus to watch those shows. The Mandalorian had a better effect on Disney Plus numbers than any of the Marvel shows.
I
And
mean,
that-
but
that's
doesn't the
saying
Disney
something.
Plus have like 180 million subscribers? Like that's a lot.
It is, but they're thinking in much larger numbers. That's kind of the thing, is that it is successful, but it's not the money they want. So that's what you have to factor in. It's not that they're not making lots of money. It's not the amount of money they want to make. So they're looking for billions right out the gate. And if they don't get what they want, they just go, it failed.
And they're trying to loop in people who have Hulu accounts. Oh, you got Hulu? You're coming over to Disney Plus now.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really doing. I already did that because I don't like the ads. So, just to get rid of the ads, it was like, oh, it's $2 extra, and then I get Disney Plus. Fine, whatever. But I don't watch it because they don't have anything on there that I really want to watch. The stuff that I wanted to watch, I watched. And they edit the content. They cut things out of movies. They edited Splash. They edited Lilo and Stitch. So it's weird. It's like, why would I watch your streaming service if you're going to edit the films? I'd rather just buy the films.
Yeah, I get that, but I think you're trying to, in the nicest way possible, make a negative out of something that is clearly making money and is clearly still has the interest of normies if it is at that level of subscribers and the level we're seeing. Like, nobody knew who Shang-Chi was, but that movie did really well and it got really great reviews. Eternals, yeah, that's a different story. That was like the 1 in 25 bomb. Like, nobody had interest in that. That was not even the critics, and the critics are the one you expect to go, oh, this is great, the representation, the this that. Nobody really liked that. But I think, like, overall, I don't think they're losing normies. I think they're bringing in the younger audience, the younger Avengers, slowly through the Disney Plus series, and then we're going to see, like, eventually the X-Men, right? So I don't know. I guess I don't see it that way. If they're still making money, it's still successful. It's still winning.
Well, it is successful. I'm saying that they're not going to necessarily view it that way.
Right, I get that.
Kind
Everybody
of
kind of aims for more.
They're looking at it from a certain advantage because they want to compete with Netflix. So that's That's where they're trying to get. They are not competing with Netflix. So Netflix has a much larger base than they do, and they're not getting anywhere near that. So they go, oh, we've got a problem. That's what happens. So they're not happy with having the third spot or the fifth spot. They want the number one. And it's just harder for them to get it because a lot of the draw that they had, they've lost because those character stories are over.
I mean, I guess, but they're only like 30 million behind Netflix. Like, it's not for a new subscriber. Oh my God, I'm so old. I remember when Netflix mailed out DVDs.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's how I
Netflix
got
has
them.
been around for so long. For them to only be 30 million behind isn't honestly that bad.
But the thing
Disney's
is, they want it now. That's the point. It's like they want
I
everything,
know.
and that they're not going to get that. They can't with the projects that they're putting forth. They're not going to get it now.
But Moon
Their
Knight.
big draw right now is, but their big draw, when you think about it, their biggest draw for Disney Plus is The Mandalorian. That's the thing that was what made people get the service, was because people heard word of mouth that this show was super awesome. That was a draw. You're not hearing the same thing from the Marvel shows, which means the people who are watching it are probably the people who already had the service. That they're not necessarily adding in more, like, oh, we got a new Marvel show, you got to sign up. They're not even doing the synergy for that. They're literally not marketing it that way. So that tells you that there's something going on behind the scenes where even they are like, maybe we want to rethink this. Now, when the next season of Mandalorian comes out, we'll see what happens. But right now, they seem to be kind of tepid.
I don't know. I see a lot of people excited for the Netflix shows. Like I there's a lot of channels talking about it. There's a lot of critics talking about it. It's always getting like the Nelson ratings. It's always in the top. Like, I don't know.
They're popular. They're popular. I just think that Disney is expecting them to have the level of draw that they were getting with the films. Like, that seems to be what Disney is expecting, and they're not getting that. And I think that's simply because you don't have the characters that were the draw. Now, if they were to say get Robert Downey Jr. to come in and do a cameo, people will lose. Like, you remember what happened when Quicksilver was on WandaVision? It instantly boosted all the attraction to it. Right. It just jumped, like dramatically jumped, because like, oh my God, they're bringing in the X-Men. That is what they're missing.
Yes.
So that's what they need to be doing. That will get them a draw. But whatever plan they have, it is not including that, and it's something else. They're trying to bring in all the sort of the all new, all different characters, and they're kind of losing the synergy of taking things people are familiar with and going, hey, we're going to do that. And by doing that, they're costing themselves the money that they want to make.
I guess so, but I think you're looking at it through a scope of social media instead of a scope of real life. Like, a lot of people really love these properties that are just normies, people that aren't necessarily like red pilled or black pilled.
They do. Yeah, that's correct. But like, I when it comes to, like, they got an Ironheart show coming out. How many people are really going to have an Ironheart poster up on their wall as compared to a Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man poster up on their wall?
Oh yeah. Like, but I don't know how her introduction's gonna go, because aren't they introducing her in the
I think the Marvels or Miss Marvel?
No, I think they're introducing her in Black Panther. But then again, that's delayed.
But then think about that. So they've gone out of their way to make Peter Parker basically Tony Stark's surrogate son. So then you're going to have him get replaced or sidelined for Riri Williams, who nobody knows anything about. How are you going to connect her to Stark if he's dead? Right?
That's why I believe that's why they're introducing her in Black Panther. Because she had
supposed to replace him.
Right. No, I understand that. But she had that arc with Eve Ewing, where she went to Wakanda. I think that's the story they're going from, but I'm not exactly. I don't know, because isn't there a bunch of production issues with Black Panther anyways?
Yeah, it got shut down again last time I saw.
I got a super chat here from Bianca. Is Dannphan taking manga recommendations? I know. Taking or talking? Not on topic. Do you have any manga recommendations, Dannphan?
Spy X Family has been pretty damn solid so far. Yeah, I take recommendations to read, but most recommendations people give me I don't end up liking, so it's unfortunate.
Oh no. That's terrible. I have Shonen Jump and I never use it. Or rarely use it. I'm not a manga person. I don't like the way it looks necessarily, but Tokyo Ghoul, fantastic series. Like absolutely my favorite. Alrighty then. Shuri got
Okay.
hurt from what I recall was the thing. I thought there was a lot to do with like people were making it about her not wanting the vaccine and stuff. I don't know exactly what's going on with it, but it seems like she got hurt and had to go home. I don't know. I think when it comes to that, like they're definitely making her the next Black Panther, and I assume that she's going to mentor Riri in some way, shape, or form. Without being able to use Tony Stark, that's the only thing that I don't know what else would make sense. I'm not the hugest Marvel reader, but I have read that arc.
Well, what would justify her? Like, there's no connection between the Stark armor and Wakanda, really, in the MCU. They didn't really put that connection there. So, what reason would she have to model her armor on Tony's armor? And then at the same time, because of how they set up Peter in the show in the films, he should really be the inheritor of that. To be perfectly honest, the only reason they're not doing it is because he's Spider-Man. But it would logically be him. So it's like you're going to have to go through a lot of shenanigans to kind of make that character work. And then you would have to ask, well, why wouldn't this be someone related to Rhodey? Right?
Yeah.
That would be, I mean,
Yep.
this is what the normie is going to say because they know who he is.
Yeah.
So if you show them a Black character, you're going to go, oh, is this Rhodey's daughter or something? And when they find out, no, it's just some random Black girl who's inexplicably smarter than everyone else. It's just like, what? Like, who is she?
So it would have been great if it would have been great if Rhodey became Iron Man, because it would flow so well with the comic book stories. Rhodey did become Iron Man. It would have been great, but no.
I mean, that would be one that's just sitting right there for them if they want more representation. Just come on, Don Cheadle.
Yeah,
a very good actor. Come on.
I got a super chat here. I think gender bending is fine if it makes sense and the purpose for the story. Fate Stay Night franchise would be the same if Arthur wasn't a woman. I don't know what the Fate Stay Night franchise is. Anyone?
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's like manga and games, and they're all interconnected.
Okay.
And I don't know much about it, but I know what exactly they're talking about.
I'm sorry. Denotaz Media. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. I don't know what that is. Yeah, but I don't usually have a huge issue with gender bending as long as it, like they said, it makes sense for the story. And oh my goodness, he's so loud. I'm so sorry. And it doesn't take away. Like, you've got to, I think the biggest problem or the biggest issue is you've got to always ask, is this taking away or is this adding to the story? Like the stuff with what's her name, Miss Marvel, she's having a new show, but because she was connected to the Inhumans, now she's a genie. Like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that.
No, they did not make her a genie.
Like, she
that's racist.
Why is that racist?
That is so oh, she's Muslim. She's one of them Arab people. Make her a genie. That's racist. No, they did not make her a genie. Oh, come on. That's a lie. I'm gonna have to look that up. No, that is racist. It would be like, oh, here's a Black person. Let's make sure he always listens to hip hop.
Don't they do that with Miles Morales? Have you played the game?
Yes, it's also racist.
The hip hop variants. Oh my God.
It's like, no, I have to look this. I don't believe you that that's what they're doing. I'm going to look this up because I genuinely do not believe they did that. That sounds so ridiculous.
From my understanding, she is a genie. I don't get how that's racist though.
If you're a genie, why would you only be able to stretch your arms and like grow?
No, they're making it like something around her wrist. Basically, like, I think it's some sort of artifact that's passed down. I don't know the whole concept. I only looked it up when I was doing a video on the Disney Plus Day stuff. But yeah, from my understanding, she is a genie. I don't.
They're gonna give her a magic carpet too.
What? Why would that matter?
Because it's racist.
It's
She's
not
not even that
racist.
kind of Middle Easterner. She's Pakistani. They don't. It's not even the right one.
I don't.
But
get how
don't
it's
they have
racist.
Inhumans in the MCU? Like Scarlet Witch is an
No.
Inhuman.
Yeah, but that's not what they consider her. Like she just has powers from the Darkhold or whatever.
I thought they changed that because they couldn't get the mutants, so they made them Inhumans. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Isn't that what they did? Did I miss
I
that?
don't. I maybe like
I could have sworn that's what they did.
I don't remember that. I from my understanding, Kevin Feige hates the Inhumans, so he doesn't want anything to do okay, so they did say that Inhumans was retconned out of the MCU, so that's what I thought. Huh? Yeah,
This is just
she's.
stupid.
I mean,
it's silly.
it is silly, but like,
Why don't they just
her
make her a
kind-
mutant then? Just call it a day. Make her be the first mutant they introduced in the MCU. Why don't they?
Oh my
just do
god,
that?
are you kidding me? Do you know how many people would be mad if she was the first mutant? Like there would be
It's
a
better than her
million
being a
videos on
genie.
how it was terrible.
Just have her exposed to internet gas and just call it a day.
Oh my god. Did that book ever come out?
No.
No.
They buried that shit quick.
I would have made so much money off that thing. So no, it did not come out.
And that was offensive to the entire world. Like that was so bad. And the
Wait,
thing about
when
it,
Joe Rogan is making fun of your comic, you know this is not good on any level.
yeah. Doesn't Joe Rogan kind of make fun of everything though? Like I don't watch his show or anything, but I'm pretty sure he's like, isn't he a comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm
he
so
noped
cultured.
Out. Like, dude was
He
trying to
knew
have
it
a
looked bad.
conversation. He was like, "No, I don't even want to talk about this." He would just move on. It's too stupid. Let's move on.
Yeah, they buried that. Wasn't it supposed to be connected to Children of the Atom or no? Was it its own thing?
The Outlawed, I think the Outlawed crossover, it was supposed to be. Yeah.
That did happen. I bought the first issue twice because I forgot that I bought it.
Oh, no.
And then I read it. No, I bought the tie-in thing. I bought that twice, and then I read a couple issues of it, and it was going nowhere. So I forgot about it.
Oh, B negative. He did show up. He is in that Blade
Yeah.
Darkhold issue. He showed up there at the very end. I'm like, hey, one of them did survive. One of them made it.
Did they have any sort of introduction?
Nope. He's
so
just
he
there.
Okay. All right. I knew he showed up in that only well, from your video. But I knew he showed up, but they didn't explain who he was or why he was there at all. I wonder
Nope.
if it was supposed to be explained in that book.
Because we're supposed to have read the new Warriors. We were supposed to have known who he was.
Oh my
And they canceled the book, and then they didn't edit the script.
Yep.
To fix
By
it.
the same guy, Daniel Kibblesmith.
You know what?
It's
Daniel
just brilliant.
Kibblesmith isn't terrible. Like, I've read one book I like. Have you ever seen that Christmas book where he does the Christmas? Oh my God, no! It's so cute. It's adorable. Where he like makes all the DC characters like Christmas song, like Vixen riding through the snow. Oh my God.
I thought you were talking about Santa and his gay husband.
No. I've never seen that.
Oh, okay, I thought it was the one you were talking about. Okay.
No. He wrote like a book for DC where it's like a Christmas. He takes all of the Christmas music, like Jingle Bells, and he makes it like DC style. So like instead of Superman's riding through the snow and one horse opens.
Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin laid an egg.
Exactly, and it's super cute. That's the only thing I've ever read from him. I don't think he doesn't do much work or any work at DC, from my understanding.
No, I haven't seen his name on anything.
That's probably good. Santa the Mutant. No, not Santa the Mutant. I think
Yellow Crow. Yeah, it was like Santa and his husband. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. It is legit. It's real. It's on Amazon. Yeah, it's there.
I remember that. Yeah.
But was it a bad book?
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
I've never read it before. Like it. Okay. All right. I don't care. Like
I'm fairly certain. Think Gary from Nerdrotic and As from Heels from First Babyface. I think they did a live read of it. It's special.
bad.
It's special.
Oh Lord. If you want to read it, really good story about, barely, I guess it's not really about a gay couple, but like in Department of Truth, Tinian has a main character named Cole, and he does gay characters so well. Like none of the focus is, there was no publication put out like, oh, we're putting out Department of Truth and it's our images first gay marriage. Da, 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 da. No, it was just like, dude, his name's Cole. He's going home to his husband. Like that was the end of it. And the rest of the book was fantastic. Like I don't understand at what point like you make a story called Santa and his gay husband. That's so weird.
Yeah. What my question is, would his husband not be gay? Like,
Right.
how could you be male and have a husband and your husband not be gay? Like it should just be Santa and his husband. Mr. and Mr. Santa Claus. There you go. Better title, at least.
It's Daniel Kibblesmith, right? I'm totally okay. Here we go. Is it Santa and his gay husband?
That's what I thought.
Yep.
That's what
No, it is not. It's
yes,
just called Santa's husband.
Oh, it's Santa's husband. Okay, all right. I misspoke.
Okay.
It's a children's book written by Daniel Kibblesmith and illustrated by Ashley. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's not great, but like, at least it's not his gay husband because that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it makes sense. It's just redundant.
Yeah, I misspoke.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Hooded Justice said Radio Apocalypse was about a lesbian couple and it was great. Oh my God. Radio Apocalypse is in the line for being the best book of the year. Like next
after one
to
issue,
Echoland.
that's a mighty bold statement. I don't know.
Oh my God. Did you read issue 1?
I did. It was good. It was good.
I cried like a fucking girl. Did you use the music?
I did not use the music.
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I had to read 29 more comics that week.
You have to use the music. It's so good. Like you're supposed to turn on the muse in the beginning when he's like doing the radio stuff. And then at the end, okay, earmuffs, anybody who doesn't want spoilers for Radio Apocalypse, you put on Springsteen Fire Song. And it goes so perfect with it. And like you see the place blow up and I'm sitting there like taking my glasses off, like trying to get the tears down. I'm like, God damn it, Ramvi. Got me with all the feels. It's so good. I love it. A children's book, are you real? Yes.
It was a good first issue.
So let's real quick. I wanted to talk before we go about a few minutes, but there's a lot of when I was kind of writing topics down for today, the issue with a lot of people have with the art. Now there is obviously companies out there. I just had Xenoscope on. There is companies like Dynamite and stuff that have a lot more risque art, but in the main two, we're seeing a huge change in the way that women are depicted. Do you have an issue with that, Trisha?
No. I mean, I think there might be an argument to be had about like where it's appropriate and inappropriate. But as like a general rule, draw women however the fuck you want. I don't care.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Just like if the woman, my issue is lately it seems like only women can be sexy if they are villains. Like, you have to be evil to be sexy. And what is that saying about women in the world? Like,
right. Well, you also have redesigns of women where they're better now because we cut off their boobs and made them unattractive.
Oh, you want to get under Sean's skin? Story under comics late? Yeah, just talk to him about that. He hates it to a passion. He hates it, beyond anything. Because with Merc Magazine, our creators, all our women, they're heroes. They're beautiful. And they're powerful. That's the philosophy behind Merc Magazine. Beautiful, powerful women.
Yeah.
And I think I don't necessarily when it comes to main continuity of DC or Marvel, I don't think there's an issue. I don't think women look at this and go, I wish there was somebody without, what are you saying about women with big boobs? That's not okay. All right. I don't think anyone looks at these books and goes, you know, I wish they looked more like me. These are supposed to be the best of the best. Now, I do think there is definitely like a lot of progress when it comes to like body positivity. Like, I've said this 1,000 times. Like, I have an issue with glorifying obesity, but I also have no issue with showing different body styles because it exists. I grew up in a time where Britney Spears was the idealistic body, and now you look at like any rapper's video and they would be considered fat back then. I have no issue with a difference in body styles, bigger women, littler women. Even we saw in Future State a heavy set Amazon. I have no issue with that. What I have an issue with is people like only being okay with the different body styles and not being okay with a sexy woman. You got to be okay with it all.
Yeah,
Or
But
none at
they're
all.
not doing that with the men. That's kind of the issue, is that if you're trying to have representation, then why aren't you showing the men as having these diverse body types? They don't really do it because it's not even about them not liking attractive women. Part of that is there, but what it is they're treating the characters as self-inserts. They want the
Right.
characters to be them instead of them imagining they're the character. So the character has to look like them, and the character has to act like them. And because they are out of shape, or they have a very odd body shape or an atypical body shape that's not considered the peak of human perfection, that's what they want to see. And you see this even with the costume design, like what they did with Batgirl, where they gave her this cosplay costume. It's like Damien dresses like that because he's 10. Babs is supposed to be a college student. No grown woman wants to dress like that. Like, what are you doing? And it's all about trying to make it so that the character is the audience member, whoever's reading the book, instead of allowing the reader to put themselves in the place of that character. They want a literal, this should be me. And that's why you're seeing that happen. So you're getting these very overt, and it's not by accident. It is 100% on purpose, where you're getting these very overt depictions of women where they're just unwomaning them. There's no other way to describe it, where the women don't look like women. I showed people that infamous picture, that panel of Captain Marvel and her stunt double or her character on the show, and I'm like, which one of these is a man? And which one of these is a woman? And I would just show it to my normal friends, and like they would point to Captain Marvel and go, "That's the man." No, that's a woman. And I don't believe you. I showed them the rest of the book, and they couldn't believe it. It's just picture after picture. It's on purpose. Remember the one where they drew her? She looked like Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury. It's like it's ridiculous. That's not an accident. You're doing that on purpose. She looks like a man. That's not an accident. Why are you doing that? So that they can have some sort of nonsense about, well, we don't want this to be for the male gaze. Well, women like to look at attractive women. Have you ever seen a
Yeah.
women's magazine?
Have you ever
They
seen
don't
a
look like
Stanley
men.
Art Germ Lau cover? There's a reason why those covers outsell any other 10-1, and they will continue to sell out any other cover 10-1 because
Yep.
these women are flipping knockouts. People want that.
I mean, people like beautiful people.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just what we like. We like beautiful people. And when it comes to women, people like to see attractive women. And most women want to be perceived as attractive. So I just don't, it doesn't come across as plausible. The other thing is they're supposed to be at peak human fitness. They're supposed to be
Right.
these superior humans. So if you are burning crazy calories, you're not going to be overweight. It's just not going to happen. I don't know if you've ever seen the breakfast Michael Phelps would have while he was training. It was like if you went to Old Country Buffet and you just took the whole buffet. That was his
No.
breakfast. And I'm like, where does it go? You've got to be on the toilet all day. No, his body just burns it. It's like it just evaporates because he's burning so many calories. So you can imagine these heroes who have these superpowers, they should be in like incredible shape. They should be doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't believe if you're like super overweight, you're going to be doing gymnastics. There are people who can do it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but they're rare.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on. And it's fantasy. That's the other thing. It's a fantasy. So why can't they look better than the rest of us?
This is why a character like Trailblazer doesn't work, because it's like even the mere idea of that isn't plausible in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. It comes across as silly. And even when you have a situation where it could kind of work with the powers, like with what's the one from Vault? What's her face? The ridiculously overweight woman from Vault. Valiant Comics, I'm sorry.
Oh, Faith.
Yes. Okay, her powers are telekinesis, so she wouldn't necessarily be in shape. Okay, fine, but you don't think she wants to concern herself with that? Because I'm pretty sure being that overweight and being active, one, she would kind of lose calories just from that. But two, I mean, that puts her in actual health risk. It's just not plausible that she wouldn't have issues. So it's like there's a level of suspense of disbelief that just doesn't work. There's a point where the audience is going to go, I'm not buying that. And they're hitting that point every time.
I think when you were talking about Michael Phelps, didn't he have to have something like 10,000 calories a day, something insane,
Yeah.
just to stay active?
Yeah, because he was burning so many calories just training. This wasn't even during competition. This was just training. He's going through calories. When you look at people who are professional athletes, they are consuming crazy amounts of food, and they're constantly having to eat because their body needs the fuel to do what they're doing. They're tearing all their muscles and rebuilding it. That stuff it's extreme. They be eating like Barry Allen in the Justice League movie. They eat like that. I'm not exaggerating. They're constantly shoveling food in their mouths.
I'm a distance runner, so yeah, I'm constantly eating. I'm running anywhere between 6, 7, 8 miles a day, so I'm having to eat.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, as often as I can.
I don't know. I think you made a good point though when he said about the double standard. I know it's not the most famous or most popular comic right now, but if you look at Superman and the Authority, the way that they had Old Man Clark taking off his shirt all the time, like putting him in very nice poses, I will just say that. When it comes to like having a heavyset Amazonian, I don't see a huge issue with it, especially when the story was at the end of the world, they weren't active, whatever. But you have to be able to do it for both sides. You can't just pretend like you want men in peak fitness shape and then have all women, or not all women, but a lot of the women becoming mildly androgynous at points, especially in some of those Marvel comics. I'm not sure what pictures you were talking about, but I know there was one in, if you guys seen the women's, it was like the anthology with the women's, where they made Captain Marvel look like an absolute boy. Like some of the drawing when it comes to that, I think has a lot to do with like those anthologies are new artists, new talent. The stories aren't necessarily very good because they're new. But when it crosses over to the main line is when I have issue. Like if you're going to take
It's been in the main line. That's the thing. It started in the mainline books. That was the thing. It started there. So they started doing this kind of around like 2014, somewhere around there in that region. They started introducing some of this because you were seeing some of the pop art style you were seeing on Fraction's Hawkeye. That was starting to like spread out. And part of the appeal was how simple it was. And so you're getting that kind of Cal Arts, kind of pop art sensibility creeping in. And it just started to sort of, merge out. I was like, okay, well, we won't put them in sexy poses. We'll reduce the breastises a little bit. We'll reduce the tuchus. Maybe we won't have her bend over. And then it very quickly became, well, we have to cover her up because she's showing skin, and that's not practical for a superhero suit because the superhero suits have to be practical now. And then it went from practicality. Well, if it's realistic, then that's not what happens when you wear a shirt. You don't get to see the boobs. It's just like one little hump. And then you get that. And then the hump just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And by the time you're done, it's like, that looks like a man. It looks like a man, or really like, a teenage boy. It's like, it's ridiculous. And then they just went with it, and it had to be a mandate at Marvel for them to draw like that because it was just
Oh
too
yeah.
consistent. It's
I know
happening
on
too many
some of
different
their
places.
covers, Sean Gordon Murphy was talking about it in an interview a while back when he was turning stuff in. There was a little piece of the leg showing, and he had to cover it up. Like, they're very particular when it comes to it, and it's almost to a point where it's like, I left Marvel long ago not because of stuff like that. Really, it was kind of what they did with the X-Men. I just was like, they've turned terrible. They've at this point turned into eco-terrorists. But when you take it to a character, my issue is when you take it to a character that sex appeal or that femme fatale is embedded in their character, like Ivy. Like, they haven't done it yet from what I've seen. Like, Jimenez has done a really good job with it. But when you take it to a character like that, or you take it to a character like Catwoman, those are when I have the issues, because that is embedded. That is part of their characterization.
And Black Widow. Black Widow's the same way. They're slowly getting away from that.
I think that was actually the video where I saw Sean get mad about that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Like,
because that is her character from her core, from the very first appearance. That is her.
I don't know. It's a mess.
It's such a weird thing to do. I mean, when you really think about it, it's just a very weird thing to do, to say that you can't have attractive women because this is going to turn women off of comic books. And then you go and look at women's media, and it's attractive women with unattainable bodies because they've been photoshopped and cleaned up and everything.
Filtered.
Yeah, but I mean, in general, women want to, one, look like that, but the other is women actually look like that.
Yeah.
So you're literally telling me that we can't draw women the way they look? That is just insane. Why would you do this?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, it's not even feminist to take a female character, make them a man, and make them super obnoxious and unlikable. Like, how is that good for us? What does that do for me?
I mean, to be honest, that's the one that irritates me the most, is that their trope is to literally make the female character unlikable. It's not even that she's kind of snarky, maybe a little bitchy. I can deal with that, but to literally go out of their way to make her unlikable, that's your main character. I should not hate the main character of the book.
Yeah.
Ever. That should not be your goal. I'm not saying I should say ever. You can do it. It's just not a good idea to do, because that is your draw. If I don't like the main character, the other characters better be really interesting.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's how I feel after reading this latest Hawkeye comic, the issue #1. I flippin' hated Kate Bishop after reading that issue 1. I wanted nothing to do with this character at all, whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely agree. It was far from anything we got from Matt Fraction or anything that Kate Bishop's always been a little bit annoying. But she's been written way better than what she was in
I was going to save it for Tuesday, but I'm like, if you didn't like the Hawkeye at #1, then you'll love my comic coming out on Tuesday on Kickstarter.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so we're going to wrap up, guys. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you guys, just some guy that you want to plug, or anything coming up on your channel we should keep an eye out for?
No, I'm still trying to set up my new computer, so it's going to take a while. I've got to copy everything over. I got to copy over all my settings and all the apps I use, and I don't know what any of those are, so I have to add them to the new computer and then open up both of them on both machines to make sure the settings are right. So it's going to take some time. So I don't know what's going to be next.
Oh my God, I wouldn't be able to function. I'm such a creature of habit. I'd be like, nope, just going back to the old one. What about you, Trisha? Do you have anything coming up?
Not currently. I guess subscribe to my channel, although I guess a lot of the chat I recognize who are already subscribed, so.
Yes, everybody's channel is in the description, just so you guys know. What about you, Drew? Besides your book, which of course is going to be huge. Actually, go ahead, plug it all.
Hope so. I did want to ask you from Sean, Tristan, since you did such a phenomenal job with our trailer, would you want to help us out in future trailers? Would you want to help us out doing some future comics coming out? Do some trailers?
Absolutely. Absolutely,
Yes.
I will.
That's a
Oh,
shot
yeah,
right now. Said Tristan said yes. All right.
Hell yes. That's so, it was, I wanted to make it so perfect, and I'm so glad you guys like it. That
Oh no,
makes
we
my
loved
day.
it. We loved it. Yes. So
Awesome.
we have a big secret project coming out in January. Can't say anything yet. Another one I wrote with a collaborator of Rob Liefeld. Can't say who, but yeah,
Oh,
it's gonna be
shit.
fun.
Hell yes. I'm so excited. So, yes, make sure you guys subscribe to everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.